The silent expanse of the Trevora sector stretched endlessly before Captain Lyra Hayes. Her ship, the Etherian, floated like a silver shard against the darkness, its hull humming faintly with ancient energy. Today wasn't a mission of exploration or trade. It was a gamble, a desperate bet on rumor and intuition. Somewhere in this forsaken region drifted a warship lost for over a century, a vessel the Galactic archives had marked as vanished beyond recovery. Lyra's fingers trembled slightly over the console. She had spent her last 500 credits acquiring access codes for this ghost ship at a clandestine auction on the shadow station of Kaoij. Every eye at the auction had scoffed when she outbid a pack of mercenaries. 100-year-old ship. Worthless, one had sneered. But Lyra's gut told her something the others couldn't understand. Some ships weren't meant to be understood, they were waiting for the right mind. The Etherian scanners flickered as they locked onto the vessel, a hulking behemoth of black alloy, its hull etched with strange, looping glyphs that pulsed faintly like the heartbeat of a long-dead god. It floated unmoved, yet it radiated an almost magnetic presence. Lyra swallowed hard. This wasn't just a ship. It was a challenge. AI, synchronize the entry protocols, she commanded. Her ship's artificial intelligence, Vera, responded with a calm, melodic voice. Acknowledged. Environmental scans indicate life support systems are active, though no biological signatures detected. Radiation and energy fields are nominal. Nominal doesn't make it friendly, Lyra muttered. She glanced at the holographic display of the ship. One massive airlock dominated the surface. Deep scratch marks carved into the metal suggested that something, or someone, had fought to escape. The auction reports had been ominous. Every previous salvage attempt had ended in failure, some never heard from again. Her boots clicked on the Etherian's floor as she suited up. The cold metal of her helmet pressed against her forehead. This was it. No turning back. She initiated the docking sequence. The massive airlock creaked as magnetic clamps locked, and the hum of dormant machinery vibrated through the floor beneath her. Stepping into the ghost ship was like entering a frozen cathedral. White, seamless walls reflected her headlamp's beam, casting long shadows that seemed to move on their own. The corridor stretched endlessly, immaculate yet empty. Tables still held what appeared to be cups of alien beverages. Crew quarters were neat, beds perfectly made. It was as if everyone had simply vanished mid-motion. Vera, analyze the power systems, Lyra whispered. Active. Yes, Vera replied. Full operational integrity detected. The ship appears to maintain itself automatically. It has been dormant, yet fully functional, for 118 years. Lyra froze at a sudden movement near the central hub, a shadow, subtle, yet deliberate, darting across her peripheral vision. She drew her plasma cutter, heart hammering. The lights flickered, then went out entirely. Only her headlamp illuminated the corridor. It's testing me, she muttered. Or waiting. The bridge was a revelation. Holographic star maps floated in midair, data streaming in alien symbols that seemed to ripple like liquid. Command chairs were positioned with ceremonial precision. Everything was intact, operational, alive, but empty. At the center, a captain's chair glowed faintly, as if inviting her to sit. Lyra's instincts screamed at her to run, but curiosity rooted her in place. She activated the ship's main console using the auction data chip. The alien encryption twisted and turned in ways that defied logic, yet something clicked inside her mind. Patterns emerged, not mathematical, but artistic, rhythmic. She realized the Valkyrian architects of this vessel hadn't designed a ship, they had composed a symphony in metal and light. A final chime echoed as the encryption surrendered. Holographic images flooded the display, recordings of the last crew, their faces etched with fear, terror, and brilliance. One tall alien with silver skin stared at her through the centuries. Its voice spoke directly into her mind. We tried to hide, to preserve ourselves in the neural core. But something beyond comprehension found us. If you access this, understand, do not trust the logic of fear. Logic failed us. Only chaos, intuition, and courage might save you. The airlock doors slammed shut behind her, and a deep vibration thrummed through the hull. Lyra steadied herself. She was alone, Or so she thought. The ship was alive in ways she could not yet comprehend, and it had chosen her. Chosen humanity. Vera, we're in deeper than anyone ever dared, Lyra whispered, adrenaline surging. Let's see what humans can do that no one else could. And somewhere deep in the void, the ancient ship pulsed in acknowledgement. Lyra took a deep breath as the corridors of the ghost ship stretched endlessly before her. Every step echoed against the cold metal, and yet she felt no fear, only anticipation. The ship, which the galaxy had deemed lost, had chosen to respond to her. That was unprecedented. Vera, give me a full system scan, Lyra said. The Ari's melodic voice filled her helmet. Scanning complete. Ship systems are fully operational. No threats detected, except environmental anomalies caused by outdated safety protocols. Outdated or not, the ship's aura was alive, almost sentient. Lyra walked through the main corridors, touching the smooth walls. Tiny vibrations pulsed under her fingertips, like the heartbeat of a giant sleeping predator. Every room was a frozen memory, crew mess halls with half-filled cups, laboratories with instruments still calibrated, and personal quarters frozen mid-use. It was as if the ship had paused life itself, holding it in a perfect, eternal balance. At the bridge, holographic displays flickered to life as she approached. Ancient star maps, alien runes, and streams of flowing data painted the room with luminous patterns. Lyra's pulse quickened. This was more than technology. This was intelligence, an intelligence that had survived over 100 years without human interaction. She activated the ship's neural core, a vast chamber buried deep within the hull. Streams of light shot across the floor and walls, forming circuits that glowed like veins of energy. A voice, faint but clear, resonated in her mind. Finally, it whispered. A mind that thinks differently. One who dares to dream. Lyra's breath caught. The voice was not just communication. It was consciousness itself, ancient and fragmented, yet aware. Who are you? She asked. I am the remnants of the crew, the voice replied. We merged our minds into the ship to survive an enemy beyond comprehension. For decades, I have waited for someone who could see beyond fear and logic. That someone is you. Her heart raced. Humans had always been underestimated, laughed at by the galaxy's most advanced species. But now, standing on the bridge of a ship no one else could control, she felt a surge of pride. What enemy? She asked, gripping the console. The silence, the voice answered solemnly. It consumes consciousness. Every mind it touches is lost forever. My people tried to escape it by uploading ourselves into the ship, hoping to survive in digital eternity. We failed, but we waited for one who could fight it differently. A human. Lyra's mind reeled. An extra-dimensional predator capable of devouring minds. Entire civilizations had been erased. And now it had found her. Vera, can it reach the station where I acquired the codes? She asked, her voice steady despite the fear rising in her chest. It is probing for thought, Vera replied. Yes. It can detect consciousness across vast distances. You are the beacon. Lyra swallowed hard. She had been reckless, maybe even suicidal, chasing this ghost ship. But she had also done what logic alone could not. She had trusted instinct, human intuition, and creativity, traits the silence could not process. The neural core pulsed, drawing her closer. Panels extended from the walls, wrapping around her arms and head. Pain shot through her skull as the ship began to interface with her mind. Images, memories, and raw emotion flowed into the circuits like a river breaking its banks. The sensation was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. She could feel the ship, its corridors, engines, and weapons, as if they were extensions of her own body. The silence appeared suddenly, a shifting mass of darkness and screaming faces. It moved with intent, seeking her consciousness. Lyra's instincts screamed at her to retreat, but she did not. Instead, she opened her mind fully, flooding the predator with something it could not comprehend, human creativity. First came music, jazz, and rock, chaotic patterns that defied logic. Then stories, myths, and poems, layered with meaning and contradiction. Next came art, abstract, emotional, sometimes nonsensical. Finally, she unleashed human humor, jokes, memes, riddles, and absurdities. The silence recoiled, confused and enraged. Its mass writhed as it tried to process the flood of human thought. It had devoured civilizations with precision, logic, and fear, but never chaos, never intuition. Lyra pressed harder, pouring hope, determination, and courage into the mental torrent. I am human, she thought, sending the conviction through the neural link. I survive. I adapt. I create. The predator shuddered. Pieces of it fractured and retreated, dissolving into the void between dimensions. But the voice of the ship, the collective consciousness of the crew, warned her, it is not gone. This is only a scout. The silence will return. Prepare. Lyra exhaled, collapsing against the console. Pain and exhaustion racked her body, but she was alive. She had done the impossible. She had faced an enemy that no one else could see or survive, and she had won, temporarily. Vera, status report, she said, voice trembling but steady. All systems stable, Vera confirmed. You are now partially integrated with the ship. Your neural link is functional, though taxing. You possess abilities the Valkyrian crew could not utilize fully. A smile crossed Lyra's face. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. They were resourceful, resilient, and unpredictable. Traits no alien predator, no logic-driven intelligence, could anticipate. And now, she had a weapon, a ship of impossible technology, powered by human ingenuity. The silence had been repelled, but the real war was just beginning. Somewhere out there, the universe's most ancient predator had learned to fear humanity. Lyra stood on the bridge, gripping the controls. Stars streaked past as the ghost ship responded to her thoughts. Let them come, she whispered. We are ready. The ghost ship, as Lyra began to call it, floated silently in the Trevora sector, a sentinel of impossible power. But one human alone, even a mind merged with alien technology, could not face the coming threat. The silence would return, and this time it would bring its full force. Lyra knew she needed a crew, humans who could match her intuition with bravery and audacity. Back aboard the Etherian, she initiated a broadcast on hidden human networks. The message was simple but electrifying. Do you want to be part of something no alien has ever survived? Do you have courage, creativity, and a mind that refuses to bend? Join me. The universe is about to meet humanity in ways it will never forget. Responses came faster than she anticipated. Hundreds of messages from every corner of human space flooded the ship's systems. Salvagers, ex-military, hackers, rogue scientists, and even thrill-seeking civilians. Each one eager to take the leap, to risk mind and body for the chance to bond with impossible technology. Lyra studied each profile carefully. She wasn't just looking for bravery. She needed humans who could think in patterns the silence could not anticipate, who could improvise, who could trust instinct over reason. Slowly, she began selecting the first wave of candidates. The first to arrive was Cale Oren, a former pilot turned rogue. His reputation for reckless brilliance preceded him. When he stepped onto the ship, he didn't flinch at the glowing neural pods lined up in the cargo bay. Instead, he grinned, already imagining the possibilities. Next came Myra Solis, a quantum engineer who had once mapped a collapsing star with nothing but intuition and a worn notebook. Her calm confidence balanced Cale's chaos perfectly. She approached the first pod, her fingers trembling not from fear, but from anticipation. By the end of the day, the first 50 volunteers had arrived, each one unique. Ex-soldiers who had survived planetary wars, hackers who could rewire alien systems in seconds, scavengers who had clawed survival from the ruins of forgotten worlds. Lyra addressed them, standing atop a platform overlooking the glowing pods. This ship, she said, voice firm yet filled with awe, is alive. It has waited over a century for someone who could understand it. That someone is us. But understand this, once you enter a pod, your mind will be fused with the ship. The process will be painful. Some may not survive. But if you endure, you will gain abilities no human has ever wielded. Whispers ran through the crowd. Excitement, fear, disbelief, but mostly determination. Humanity thrived on impossible odds. The bonding process began. Lyra watched as each volunteer entered a pod. Blue light enveloped their bodies, neural connectors linking mind to the ship. The first cries of pain pierced the cargo bay, raw and primal. Then came silence, and finally, a new awareness. Lyra could feel them, the first 50 minds connected, sharing perception, intuition, and creativity. They were no longer separate individuals. They were a network, a collective force with human ingenuity at its core. Kale opened his mind first, sending a rush of raw strategy, spatial intuition, and improvisational skill into the neural network. The ship responded instantly, adjusting its systems to Kale's thought patterns. Shields that had been designed for Valkyrian pilots now danced unpredictably, bending reality in ways no alien could anticipate. Myra followed, her engineering mind reconfiguring energy conduits and weapon outputs. Lyra felt the ship hum in harmony with her crew. The impossible was becoming reality. Together, they could do what no species before had managed: wield Valkyrian technology with chaotic human creativity. News of the ghost ship's awakening spread quickly. Within weeks, more volunteers came, desperate to join this unprecedented alliance. Hundreds more minds were tested, trained, and bonded. Each one strengthened the network, pushing the ship beyond limits even Lyra had not imagined. Yet even as the fleet grew, threats appeared. The Galactic Council, already wary of human unpredictability, issued warnings. "Deactivate the vessel," they demanded. "Surrender the technology. You endanger the entire sector." Lyra smiled, a mix of defiance and determination. Humanity thrived when underestimated. "No," she replied into the neural network. "We are the ones who will protect the galaxy. They do not understand the power of human creativity. They never have." The first engagement came sooner than expected. Council patrol ships approached, weapons charged, sensors scanning for anomalies. Lyra instructed her crew to prepare for battle, though her heart raced with excitement rather than fear. This was the moment they had trained for, the moment humans would prove their resilience. Reality-bending projectiles, shaped by Kale's spatial instincts and Myra's engineering finesse, tore through Council shields like paper. Ships that had relied solely on logic and order faltered instantly, unable to adapt to the unpredictable assault. Within minutes, the patrol was scattered, retreating in disbelief. The crew erupted in awe and celebration, but Lyra reminded them to stay vigilant. The silence had not been defeated. It had only been delayed. This victory, though exhilarating, was merely the opening move in a battle that would define the future of humanity across the stars. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself a moment of pride. From a single human mind to a network of hundreds, humanity had seized a weapon no alien had ever understood. They were creative, chaotic, and resilient, the perfect match for a universe that had tried to contain them. As the ghost ship's engines hummed with renewed vigor, Lyra gazed at the stars. "The silence will return," she thought, "and when it does, we'll be ready." The ghost ship glided through the void like a predator, its hull absorbing starlight and reflecting nothing back. Lyra Hayes stood at the bridge, watching hundreds of blinking sensors. Her network of human minds pulsed through the ship, each connected soul adding intuition, strategy, and unpredictability. Humanity had never felt so alive, or so dangerous. "Vera, status report," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the tension. "All systems optimal. Neural integration with crew at 92%. Energy reserves at maximum. Sensors detect multiple ships on an intercept course. Council forces, armed with anti-Valkyrian tech, are closing fast." Lyra's eyes narrowed. This was it, the first real test. The Council believed humans were reckless, incapable of wielding alien technology. They were about to be proven catastrophically wrong. She activated the ship-wide communication link. "All crew, prepare for engagement. Remember, unpredictability is our strength. Logic is their trap, chaos is our weapon." The first Council ships emerged from faster-than-light shadows. 6 massive vessels, bristling with energy weapons and shields calibrated to counter Valkyrian tech. Lyra's heart raced, but her confidence surged higher. "Kale, Take the forward systems. Myra, reinforce energy conduits for weapons arrays. Everyone else, synchronize mental feedback. We move as one. The human crew responded instantly. Minds connected through the neural network, predicting movements, recalculating energy outputs, and improvising maneuvers no algorithm could foresee. The Council opened fire first. Their beams tore through the void with lethal precision. But the ghost ship didn't dodge in straight lines, it danced. Projectiles phased, split, and refracted unpredictably. The Council ship scrambled, unable to adapt to movements that seemed to bend reality itself. Lyra directed her crew to strike. Kale manipulated spatial energy fields, creating overlapping corridors of attack. Myra sent pulses through the weapon systems that temporarily altered the dimensions of each projectile, allowing them to bypass conventional shields. The ghost ship became a weapon of pure unpredictability, a chaos engine powered by human ingenuity. Minutes passed like hours. Council ships tried to retreat, but each maneuver was anticipated and countered. By the time the last vessel turned away, smoke and sparks trailed behind the disabled ships. Humanity had not just survived, they had dominated. Lyra exhaled but did not relax. Vera, scan for anomalies. The sensors lit up. The silence was approaching. Its shadowy form shimmered on long-range scanners, an unnatural mass of writhing blackness that defied conventional physics. It had sensed the neural network, the fusion of human minds and alien technology. And it was hungry. Prepare the crew, Lyra said quietly. We're about to test everything we've learned. The silence descended like a storm across the void. Its form shifted constantly, its consciousness probing, tasting, and calculating every connected human mind. Panic might have seized a lesser species, but humans adapted instantly. Lyra directed a mental pulse into the network. She opened every human mind to creativity and improvisation, music, logic puzzles, abstract thought, humor, and hope. Every unpredictable pattern overloaded the silence's attempts to consume them. It recoiled, writhing in frustration. Vera warned her, sustaining the network is draining neural energy. Human minds may fatigue if overextended. I know, Lyra replied. But chaos is our weapon. Creativity is our shield. The silence lunged, and the battle became a clash of consciousness. Humans projected art, memory, paradoxes, and intuition. The predator writhed, faltered, and then shattered into fragments, retreating into the void between dimensions. For the first time in eons, it had been bested, not destroyed, but repelled. The crew erupted in exhilaration. For humans, the impossible had become reality. They had not just survived, they had outsmarted an ancient, extra-dimensional predator. Lyra smiled, though her exhaustion was real. Each mind had pushed itself to the limit, yet no one faltered. This is only the beginning, Lyra said. We've proven what humans can do. The silence has learned to fear us. And when it returns, it will find the galaxy ready. The ghost ship hummed like a living thing, glowing with the combined consciousness of hundreds of humans. For the first time, humanity had a weapon that no alien could predict, no council could control, and no predator could fully comprehend. And somewhere in the darkness, across the infinite expanse of space, the silence paused. Something it had never felt in countless millennia stirred within its alien consciousness. Fear. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was winning. The ghost ship drifted through the Trevora sector like a phantom, its sleek hull absorbing starlight. Lyra Hayes stood on the bridge, her mind fully connected to the ship and the hundreds of humans who had bonded with her. Each heartbeat, each breath, each thought pulsed through the neural network like a living organism. Humanity was no longer alone. It was a collective force capable of facing the impossible. Reports flowed in from across the galaxy. Human crews had discovered abandoned Valkyrian vessels in distant sectors, each waiting for minds that could understand them. Within weeks, dozens more ships had been claimed. The Council tried to stop them, passing decrees and dispatching fleets, but their logic could not match human creativity. Every ship that joined the network became another unpredictable variable, another strike of chaos against order. Lyra activated the neural interface fully, feeling the combined consciousness of her crew. "We are ready," she whispered. "The silence will return. And we will be waiting." The first signs appeared like shadows across the void. Distortions in space, impossible geometric patterns that defied physics, and the familiar darkness of the silence. It had been studying humanity, learning from the chaos it had once failed to consume. Now, it had returned with a strategy, with an intent sharper and more cunning than before. "Hold formation," Lyra instructed. "Focus on improvisation. Think like humans, not like soldiers. Think unpredictably." The fleet responded as one. Each ship moved independently yet in perfect coordination. Human minds shared intuition, strategies forming in real time, shifting faster than any algorithm could compute. The silence reached out, tendrils of shadow probing the collective consciousness, seeking weaknesses. Lyra countered with an unthinkable maneuver. Every human mind projected art, music, paradoxes, memories, and dreams into the network simultaneously. The chaos was overwhelming, a flood of creativity that no extra-dimensional predator had ever encountered. The silence faltered, its tendrils recoiling, and for the first time in eons, it hesitated. "Now!" Lyra shouted. The fleet unleashed a coordinated strike. Weapons phased and folded through dimensions, striking the silence in unpredictable angles. Reality-bending projectiles, shaped by human imagination, tore through its mass. The predator screamed, a sound of pure consciousness that shook the void. Yet it survived, retreating into the shadows, wounded but not defeated. The crew cheered, but Lyra knew better. This victory was only a test, a warning. The silence had felt human defiance, and it would return stronger. Humanity could not rely on firepower alone. It would rely on creativity, unity, and the unyielding spirit that had defined their species. Over the following months, Lyra and her crew trained, expanded the network, and explored every abandoned Valkyrian ship. Each human mind added to the collective, each improvisation and invention sharpened the fleet. Humans began to understand the alien technology in ways no other species could, turning it into a force of unpredictable power. The Galactic Council attempted to intervene, but every fleet they sent was outmaneuvered, outthought, and overwhelmed. Humans thrived in chaos, turning the galaxy's rigid order into a playground of opportunity. Lyra's voice echoed across the network. "They told us we were too fragile. That we could not handle the Valkyrian ships. That we could not survive the silence. They were wrong. We are humans. We survive. We adapt. We create. And we will not be stopped." The silence lingered at the edge of known space, sensing the growing power of human innovation. It had learned fear, a sensation it had never experienced. And for the first time, it knew it could lose. Humanity, unpredictable and chaotic, had become the galaxy's shield. Lyra stood on the bridge, her consciousness intertwined with hundreds of minds, each a spark of human ingenuity. The fleet stretched across the stars, a web of impossible ships waiting for the coming battle. The silence would return, but humanity had transformed. No longer a fragile species, they had become a force of unrelenting creativity and courage. She whispered to the network, a message carried in thought, art, and intuition. "Prepare. We are ready. And when the silence returns, we will show the universe what it means to be human." And somewhere in the dark expanse of space, across the dimensions, the silence paused. For the first time in its infinite existence, it hesitated, felt uncertainty, and tasted fear. Humanity had won not just a battle, they had awakened the potential of their species. The stars stretched endlessly before the fleet, and Lyra smiled. The age of humans as masters of both creativity and technology had begun. They were no longer prey, no longer victims. They were the unpredictable, unstoppable, indomitable force that would define the galaxy's future. Humanity was ready. The silence had learned to fear them. And the universe would never be the same again.